final session. We will attempt to move things along as swiftly as possible. So without any further ado, I will hand over to the chair of the session. And I don't have my papers with me. I know it's Teresa, but I can't remember your surname. I'm so sorry.
No worries.
Yeah, it's just blame it on the times and blame it on Olympic beach volleyball, which kept me up until 11:30 last night. So, yeah, that's what we're blaming it on. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. I'm Teresa France, and I'm from Sandy. And sadly, I'm the chair of this graveyard session. But I'm first going to call the ambassador of Mentimeter, Roderick. Maybe you can give a round of applause.
Do we have some? Oh. Janda just needs to correct. Bongiwe. Bongiwe. Sorry, we are not on my laptop.
That's fine. I'll just introduce the question. Colleagues, welcome to this graveyard session. But not to worry, you are in good hands. We are just figuring out some technical issues here. So while we are looking or waiting for this to get sorted out, okay, it won't be sorted out. So while all the other stuff happens in the background, I refer you back to this sheet from earlier. So colleagues, if you look at session 5A, it says additional health practitioners connection to biodiversity economy and the NCA. So we'll listen to Bogonon Sasigako just now. But I want you to think back to the last two sessions that we've had. So these two parallel sessions that we just discussed. And to think about what it is from those sessions that you found most useful and that you may yet find useful in your own work. So just go onto that QR code link for us, please, and type in whatever you think came out of those sessions that you really found useful or that you might still be able to apply in your own work. And what part of your work does any of the NCA content presented today relate to? So we heard someone talk about snails, for instance, earlier. So there's a wide range of things that we can think about how this relates to our work. So it just requires you to think a little bit broadly about what NCA actually is. Are you involved in any other natural capital approaches other than the natural capital accounts? And maybe what are those? And then if we lost access to one of our key natural resources, what do you think would be the most significant impact on our daily lives? So I'm going to leave you with those 4 questions. And I don't have my screen with you, so I can't engage with you at this point, but please, colleagues, go on there and respond to all of these, and we'll see what those responses were. And this is not just for us in this session, this is also for us going into the next NCA forums. How do we think about putting those sessions together? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Roderick. Ladies and gentlemen, before I introduce you to our next guest speaker, there are fact sheets. I just need to inform you. There are fact sheets on the table outside, just around the corner. Please collect the fact sheets because that's your homework for tonight. So no free lunch. We have to work tonight, read through the fact sheets in preparation for tomorrow's session. So please, I'm doing this first so that I don't forget because it's late in the day. But it gives me great pleasure after listening to all of the perspectives from ecologists and then statisticians to bring a very, very different perspective and voice to our forum today. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Bogonon Sasigako, a traditional health practitioner and also the CEO of Nature Speaks and Responds. And I think you're all going to really enjoy this. Please welcome Bogonon.
Thokozan, good afternoon to everybody who left in the room. As we know, this is a graveyard shift, so those of you who left on home, maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's not, I don't know. My name is Gogo Namtasabelo. The Gogo denotes the ancestors that I carry with me. I am a traditional healer, Inyana, in African terms, and I've been a traditional healer for the past 19 years. So you can't lump me in with the rest of the modern Sangomas, as they call it. I am quite old in this field. And I am also a CEO of a non-profit company called Nature Speaks and Responds. And the reason for me formulating this NPC is because I felt that conservation needed to be tackled from a traditional healer's perspective. Now, there's a simple reason for that. South Africa uses traditional healers, at least according to the papers that have been written down, and I'm challenging Stats SA in this. The last count of traditional healers from Stats SA and everybody else was 1999. So the last number that was written down officially was 200,000. But the truth of the matter is, at the moment, we've got more than 1 million traditional healers out in this country. And I say to Stats SA, I'm looking at you and trying to understand why are we not being counted? Why are we being ignored? This has been the norm in my sector, that traditional healers are not people that people want to deal with. Mainly because of historical background, mainly because of colonization, mainly because of the taboos that surround our practice and everybody thinking that it's supposed to be in the periphery, or it's evil. I can assure you that it's none of that. The fact that over 70% of our country's population uses traditional healers at some point or another in their lives tells you that it's something that's very crucial for our communities. And having said that, there needed to be a voice for traditional healers within the conservation space, specifically for traditional healers. And the reason why there's a voice is because we use every part of nature, from trees to mountains to rivers to animals to air to whatever you call nature in South Africa, we use for spiritual use. And being the users of all of these natural resources, it stands to reason that we should be consulted or at least involved in any conservation efforts, and unfortunately thus far this has not been the case. And for me to be standing here and be part of this, I had to shove doors. I'm not going to say push, I shoved them. And I made sure that I got to the space. And as a friend of mine put it this morning, in the conservation space, everybody, including the DFFE and all other big establishments in this country, none of them wanted to put a ring on my finger and say, let's work together. And she actually put it poignantly today for me that only Sandy decided to take my hand in marriage and say, let's work together, thus far. I'm glad to also report that Sandparks seems to be moving towards my side as well, because I think it's important that traditional healers be involved in things that concern us. Our communities come to us because we play a pivotal role in their lives, culturally, spiritually, as well as physically. And because of that, it's important that we have a say in the natural resources that are diminishing, that we see every day that they are falling apart. And with them diminishing, unfortunately the policymakers and the people at the top are making decisions on our behalf. They are telling us how things should be done. They are telling us how things are supposed to be done. And there's a favorite statement that I like putting on, saying in every workshop or any public gathering. The fact that they tell me of lists and things I'm supposed to do or not supposed to do or I'm not meant to do, but you've never consulted me, you've never spoken to me, you've never asked me what it is that I need or don't need. And the reason why most of these policies that have been made for us are largely ignored by us is the fact that nobody ever consulted us. We get told in the land of our forefathers that we are supposed to do things in a certain way, and if we don't do it in a certain way, we are contravening the law. We are not non-law-abiding citizens. We abide by the law. We would like to abide by the law, but we can't abide by a law we don't know. We do not know the laws that you guys put on paper. And when I'm saying you guys, I'm saying very clearly, and I'm pointing out anybody in conservation or anybody who does policy. We do not know the laws that you put down. And because we don't know the laws, it's hard for us to actually follow those laws and rules. And things that you put on lists without speaking to us about what those lists are mean nothing to us. And that's an honest truth. And we will be looked at as people that are not following the rules and regulations, not towing the line. But it's because we don't know about the line to tow. There is no line as far as we're concerned. This land was left for us by our forefathers, and because of that, we believe we have the right to utilize. But as a citizen as well of this country, I do realize, things that I used to find 19 years ago, I do not find in the wild anymore. And that's concerning for us, because those are our tools of trade. It's what we use to heal our people. So it's concerning to us. And most of us have decided to start our own mini projects and to basically make sure that we still have some of the items, especially motifs that we used to use in the past that we use in the future. But I digress. I want to speak about the work that I do as Nature Speaks. Nature Speaks has, since signing an MOU with Sandy last year in August, have proudly done about 5 workshops, and we're doing the 6th one this month in Tembisa, where we are creating awareness, citizen science awareness workshops. And there's a simple reason why I'm saying citizen science. There is no community in South Africa at the moment that does not have a traditional healer. There is no community that does not have a traditional healer. And I'm talking about every street in every township, in every suburb, in every town, there is a traditional healer. Whether you know about it or not, there is one. And because of that, who best placed to collect data on the state of every natural resource out there? At the moment, we are starting with aquatic spaces, and that's due to the fact that Sandy has extended a hand and said this is the space you can work in. We don't have a budget. We are working on literally empty, where Sandy is only able to provide their people, which is a great resource, as well as catering for our workshops. But everything else that we do in those workshops, we stand up and we ask Peter and Paul and Zodwa and anybody else out there to assist us to make sure that these workshops are successful. And so far, I'm happy to report that they have been successful, and we've had gains within the traditional healing sector, where people are starting to take cognizance of the fact that they need to take care of nature. We have a very bad reputation of being abusers of nature, whether deserved or not. The truth of the matter is, you see the evidence of our practices. When you go to any river, you will find debris that's left behind by our people. You go to any mountain, you'll find debris that's left behind by our people. And because nobody has addressed this thus far, a lot of them have continued because they know nothing else. Unfortunately, there's a big gap between what government provides and what the citizens need. There are no dustbins for us to throw things on, and we tend to leave them behind. Some people have got misconceptions on how to do the work that they do, and they need to be reminded, and I'm saying reminded very strongly, about how to do things the ancient way, which was never to mess up, but to do what needs to be done spiritually and leave the place better for the future. Leave the place better for the next person who comes along. So in our workshops, we make sure that we incorporate teaching healers and reminding healers about the biodiversity crimes that we commit. And I'm happy to report that I've got what I call nature champs, which is something that we've started with every workshop, where they are reporting back to me and saying, Wako, we cleaned the river today. Wako, we made sure that the person who was working picked up after themselves. But we made sure that when we see this, what are we supposed to do with that? And those are gains that I believe could go very far in changing the conservation space in South Africa. We have only been able to do Gauteng thus far, and for simple reason. I mean, money. We don't have the money to travel outside of Gauteng. But the truth of the matter is, regions outside of Gauteng have called for this workshop. And the one said word that every single one of them calls out for is this going to be another Gauteng initiative that leaves us out? So with all the traditional healers out there, over 1 million of us, there's a cry for education, there's a cry for training, there's a cry for understanding, and there's a cry for tolerance. And I'm saying right here that Nature Speaks is saying we're going to be the bridge that actually closes that gap to make sure that healers take an active role in the conservation space. If we know that we are doing something wrong, we will not perpetuate it, because you must remember this is our office. Nature is our office. We cannot mess up our own offices. And I want to emphasize as well that because traditional healers in most cases happen to be black people, there is a narrative that's going around that we are dirty people. We are filthy people. I refuse that. Our homes are super clean. Our spaces are super clean. The reason why we have to throw outside and not throw where we're supposed to throw is because nothing is provided for us to throw at. Townships are not designed to carry everything that we take out, unfortunately. So I take it out of my home and I put it outside because I've got nowhere else to take it. Those are things that I'm saying there's a gap between government services and ourselves. Some of the fights that you see in the streets out there are not necessarily because we like to destroy. It's simply because we want to be heard as well. And traditional healers are exactly in that boat. We are saying that here we have a lot to offer. And in having a lot to offer, we'd like to work hand in hand with anybody within the conservation space to remedy the issues that we've created, to make sure that we leave the earth in the way that our ancestors left the earth for us. And unfortunately, thus far, it's proven to be a very difficult task, but one that can be done. And our workshops are showing that we can do that. The second part of what Nature Speaks does is attempting to create medicinal gardens. I'm glad to report that Sanvi, being our best friend and our marriage partner at the moment, have given us the use of their horticulturists who are teaching us, and we're working on a program of teaching traditional healers how to harvest sustainably, how to propagate, and how to conserve nature. The aim of our medicinal gardens, because I hear everybody saying we've done that so many times. The aim of our medicinal gardens is not just to harvest, but to restore nature. We are planning on taking the plants that we grow within those nurseries, whenever we get the nurseries, whenever we have the funding to do so, and plant them back into the spaces that they belong in, so that we can rehabilitate the ecosystem, make sure that what was lost is regained. Because more than anything else, we churn out initiates on a regular basis as traditional healers. If anybody watches TV, they know this. We churn them out. There's a lot. I mean, over 1 million, I think I'm understating, because somebody said 3 million at some point or another, and the number keeps on growing every single day. We would like the teachings that we are giving to our initiates to be the same teachings they give to their children based on resources that are still available. The truth of the matter is, in as much as we leave debris behind, the sewage that's being pumped into our rivers is killing spirituality. And unfortunately, nobody wants to address that. Everybody says traditional healers. There is a trough that we wear that you can buy for 30 rand in Marabaskat. Anybody can wear that trough, and everybody wears that trough. Some are not even traditional healers, but unfortunately we get painted by the same brush simply for wearing a trough. And I think that's unfair. Those are the types of things I would like to change and to make sure that they're done differently. The medicinal plants that we are trying to And I'm saying trying again because we started one in EWT. EWT was generous enough to give us space. It was a 20 by 20 meter space to start a medicinal garden. We started it, it is there. They are maintaining it for us. But Sanbi came through, the horticulturists from Walter Sisulu, and they told me, Gogo, we must scrap almost half of this and start it again from scratch. Because you planted the bulbs here, you're supposed to have planted the bulbs there, etc. That's information that we need. It's information that needs to be passed down to every traditional leader out there, especially because our aim is to have a medicinal garden in every local municipality in South Africa, of which there are 205 of them. So if I can have something like that that's working, for me that's a great achievement, because it means we are restoring nature. The relationship I'm having with St. Parks and that I'm planning on growing with St. Parks is one that says that St. Parks is looking at making sure that it's sustainable. Wherever garden that we start, they can then capacitate 2 healers per garden to take care of that garden by providing actual employment to those traditional healers so that it's their job to take care of that garden, which means it's not going to be one of those white elephants, which is what we see out there at the moment. Another part of what we do as Nature Speaks, or in the process of doing, you must remember Nature Speaks is only 2 years old. And in being 2 years old, we've made inroads into the conservation space. We're also looking at OECMs based on our sacred sites. We unfortunately do not own the land. We don't own it, yet we know of the spiritual spaces that we find out there. And we use those spiritual spaces. And it's important for us that the spiritual spaces remain the spiritual spaces for us. And the best way to do that, we are thinking, is through declaring them OECMs perhaps, or finding some way of making sure that they do not get disturbed, yet we can still gain access to them. It's hard for traditional leaders to tell you what these places are, because we do not trust you at all. And the reason why we do not trust you is the simple fact that we've been bitten way too many times in the past. We let you know of a place, tomorrow there's a fence. We can't go in there. You go to communities, you ask them, what places do you use? They tell you straight up, oh God, do not tell them, but we'll take you to our sacred space. And the reason for that is, unfortunately, people that have had good intentions in conservation have not gone about the right way. You see, there's a lady from, I think, DFFE, who presented how the national rollout and then it will trickle down. That doesn't work. That does not work. And I wish she was still here because I wanted to tell her it doesn't work. You need to start at ground level. Speak to the people, speak to the residents, speak to the locals. Find out what conservation means to them. There is no word like conservation in the African sense, but we've been doing it. The mere fact that you are finding what you are finding out there means that we have been doing it. Now, we need to harness that knowledge. We speak of indigenous knowledge systems, yet nobody speaks to the indigenous people. We are custodians of indigenous knowledge. It is brought forth by our ancestors, who speak through us, yet we are never consulted as far as this is concerned. It's a beautiful word, I think, especially because all the internationals have spoken of integrating indigenous knowledge systems into conservation spaces, yet it's not practically done. And in it not being practically done, I'm saying that it's time that we started taking things to another level. Include us, we're here. And we're saying include us meaningfully. And I do understand that I'm supposed to finish now. But my story is very long, and I'm going to cut it short due to time and the fact that I know that everybody's exhausted right now. But there's a whole lot more to say. But more than anything else, I'm saying that as Nature Speaks, we're out there, and we are saying we are ready to forge relationships that take us to the next level in the conservation space. And I see lots of faces that have reached out to say we want to walk this path with you. And I'm hoping that we can also start with SSA that says that they will do a proper count of the number of traditional healers that we have in this country, so that we stop estimating and sticking to a 1999 statistic, which says 200,000. And I'm hoping that with me speaking here, I am heard. It's one of the things I also, everybody when I get out, was I heard, and I'm hoping that I am heard in the short space of time that I've been given. Thokozani yabo.
Thank you very much, Gordon. I don't know if there are any burning questions or comments in the audience. Jen, maybe we have time just for one. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much. Thanks for Zuriko. You made me think of something now while you were talking that one of my fondest memories of my mom is like when we were little, if you had a tummy ache or something, then you got your vein rate. People that speak Afrikaans will understand. There's these plant medicines that you used to get and it was given to you and it would assist without you having to go to a doctor. But you said something about there are species that 90 years ago you could see and you could find and you're not finding it. And oftentimes we speak in the biodiversity space, we'll talk about a species is lost, but it means something different for you. When you say a species is lost, it has a completely different meaning because it means a loss of an ability to treat your patient. It means a loss of an ability to support somebody. And so we feel that from a research or a science perspective, because something has happened to that species, and it might be an aesthetic thing, it might be from a knowledge-based perspective, but there's a different angle that's not incorporated in that loss, and you articulated it very well. So it was a comment about broadening what loss means in the context of a species is lost. Thanks, Chief.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't have an answer to that.
Yes. You've got it, Jen.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much, and thank you, Gogo, for sharing your wisdom with us and this very different perspective. I don't know, Tracy, if you have any housekeeping or final words for us.
I think that everyone who's here kind of needs to tell everyone who wasn't here that they must have a really good session this afternoon with Gogo. Because FOMO is a thing and we need to make people know that they missed out by going home early. So just in closing, thank you everyone for attending today. I think it was a very insightful day. Some really interesting presentations. Just a reminder that tomorrow registration is at 8. You need to please sign the registration form again tomorrow so that we don't get into trouble with our supply chain people and the Auditor General's office when they ask who ate the food that you paid for. And then we will start tomorrow at 8:30. I will unfortunately not be here due to personal reasons, but you will have a new and exciting program director. Okay, thank you everyone, and please travel safely. Okay.